Hi class, today we're going to be looking at how a biologist would keep track of inherited traits over generations. So pedigrees are the way to be able to look at generation up to 3, 4, 5 generations and see how a trait has been passed on from one generation to the next. You can see here there's a key. Normal females are going to have an open circle. Affected females will have a colored in circle. Carrier females sometimes will be shown as having half of that circle shaded in, and that means that they're heterozygous for that trait. Normal males are a square. Affected males are a shaded in square, and carrier males are halfway shaded, and they would be heterozygous for that trait. If something is sex-linked, you'll notice that it's passed on in the males more often than the females. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit in class. So the carriers would only be in the females at that point. Males cannot be a carrier of a sex-linked trait. You'll notice up here that in this case they were a carrier married to someone that did not have the trait at all. That means generally they're, if it's a carrier trait like this, then the ones that don't have it have to be recessive, completely recessive. Sometimes you'll see if they're carriers, you might not see it shaded in at all. So it depends on the type of pedigree if that happens. On page 241, you can see some examples as well. So here's the key. You guys have a spot where you should draw in the key. A couple things that are on this slide that weren't on the last one. Marriage is a line that goes between them. If they're unmarried, they may still have children, and so sometimes there's a dotted line. And then if they have passed away, a lot of times there will be a line through it. I don't think I have any as examples with that, but just in case you were to see it on something. So we're going to try a practice problem. This is going to be a lot of words that come up here. I want you to pause it and be able to read all that's on here. We're going to be looking at tongue roller and non-tongue roller. But I want you to try and make your own pedigree before you go to the answers, which will be right after this. I want you to try and make it just to get some ideas of what you would do with each of the individuals. So first, John Jones is a tongue roller. So that means he has to have a big R. We're not sure what the other letter is yet. Marries Jill Smith, a woman that cannot roll her tongue, so that's 2 little R's. John and Jill have 4 children that can each roll their tongue, so each of them is going to at least have a big R. They will also get a little R from their mom. So John Jr., Alice, Lisa, and Sean. John Jr. later marries a non-tongue roller, Pamela, and they have 4 children, Jessica, Sherry, Mary, and John III. Sherry and Mary both can roll their tongues, and Jessica and John III are non-tongue rollers. Sean marries Robin, a non-tongue roller. Both Robin's parents are non-tongue rollers also. Sean and Robin have 4 children, Nicholas, Harry, Donna, and Sean Jr. Nicholas, Harry, and Donna each have the ability to roll their tongues. Sean Jr. cannot. So at this point, pause. When you start back up, you'll see the results. Kind of go through with you some examples of how you get to those things. The main thing you want to do right now is write down each person and whether they can roll their tongue or cannot. So you want to put their genotype. If they cannot roll their tongue, that's really simple. It's just little r, little r. If they can roll their tongue, you have to decide if they are big R, or big R, little r. So take time to do that first. Write down each individual and what genotype they have, and then you'll put them into a pedigree by seeing who they're related to and where they came from as far as their children. Okay, so these are going to be our results. First thing, big R means non-tongue roller and little r means non-roller. And then I went ahead and put them in with what they have. So John is big R, big R. The reason we would say that he is completely dominant is because all of his children can roll their tongue. There would be a greater chance for some of them to not be able to roll their tongue if he was big R, little r, because the mom can only pass on the 2 little r's. So all 4 of the children are tongue rollers. John Jr. marries someone who is not a tongue roller, and they have 4 children. Mary and Sherry both can roll their tongues. They had to get the little r from their mom, and they got a big R from their dad in order to be able to roll their tongue. Over here, Sean and Robin married, and they had 4 children. 3 of theirs could roll their tongue, and 1 could not. Robin's parents both were non-tongue rollers, so both little r, little r. Just gives you an idea of what a pedigree would look like. Hopefully you were able to come up with something as well very similar. You are going to practice doing some of these in class.